We are live and we're not supposed to be. Welcome to the Circle of Success workshop series. Today's session on how to put yourself out of business before someone else does it for you. This is a part of a 6-webinar series or workshop series that we've been running, but I decided to do this one live. So we've had people register, of course, to attend the other ones. We've done how to align human behavior and organizational behavior, and then how to get everybody on the same page. You know, everybody wants everybody on it. So we've done that one. We did that one twice, actually. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do this particular one live? So we're having this one live. And if you want to join in on any of the platforms where this is streaming live right now, you're more than welcome to do so and ask any questions that you might have along the way as we go through this workshop here on how to put yourself in a business before someone else does it for you. This is something I challenge business leaders and owners on quite a lot, and they kind of look at me funny, and you'll understand why initially, because I'm telling you to put yourself out of business. So we're going to run through this. Basically, what we're doing is I've got a bit of a presentation we're going to run through. We're going to talk about some of the concepts. We're going to go through why you would want to consider this, how to do it, and what you need to actually do. And then I'm going to jump on the whiteboard and just show you simple things that you can work through. All right, so we'll get started. And people can join in as they join in. So welcome to the Circle of Success workshop series. Firstly, this is, as I mentioned earlier, one of 6. We've got 3 more coming up after this, the final 3 in the series. In 2 weeks' time, we will be having everything you wanted to know about OKRs, but we're afraid to ask. OKRs are the hottest topic on the strategy world right now, that everyone's starting to use OKRs. They've been around for a very long time, but it's become very popular. However, what we find is a lot of people don't understand how to use them in small business. So we're going to talk about all the things that Andy Grove and John Doerr, who have introduced OKRs to Apple and Google and IBM and various other companies, but they haven't told you about implementing it into small business. So we're going to run through that. Also, what we're going to go through after that one in another 2 weeks in August 30th is how to get everyone to fall in love with why you do what you do in your business. So how do we get everyone to fall in love with our business? Wouldn't it be great if your team and your clients and everyone loved why you did what you did, including yourself? And then the last session we're going to run at the very end of this is going to be Stop the Glorification of Busy. It's about how to become productive and stop being busy. So that one's going to be pretty exciting too. It's going to be a very fundamental session on shifting away from busyness and into productivity. So those are the series. This is what we have left. We'll put a registration link in the comments that you can join in for the rest of those. This is the only one we're going to be doing live at this stage. So, all right. So that is the up and coming series. Now, let's get into this particular one that we're talking about today. How to put yourself out of business before somebody else does. This is such an important topic in today's world. I believe it's always been an important subject, but now more than ever. Post-pandemic, the world has changed, business has changed, people's views on business and the world have changed, people's views on leadership has changed, finally. So it's about time that we look at our organization and how is it going to survive, let alone thrive, into this new crazy world that we're in. So one of the things that we must accept is that change is inevitable and that we must evolve or die. Like, resistance is futile. Like, the slide says it all to me. Like, we've been talking to organizations for about 5 years now about the need to evolve, well before the pandemic came along, and that evolution needs to become the natural state of your business. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but it's so important that we understand, like, you don't have many choices here other than to evolve or die. Staying the same is no longer a choice in a world that is changing rapidly. Things are not going to go back to normal. So please understand, those of you who are still waiting for things to go back to normal, that is not going to happen. And the reason why is because of this. This is a visual I drew up to explain to a bunch of business owners and leaders, why even settling for the new normal is the wrong answer. What we've had before is everything was normal. Then a disruption came along. And that disruption in the world's case happened to be the pandemic. And then everyone's going, oh, okay, well, I can't wait for the new normal. Well, I assure you it's not going to be a new normal. It's just going to be the next normal. Because then something else is going to come along and create another disruption. And then guess what? It was like, oh, I wish things go back the way they were. Then we'll go, oh, I can't wait for the new normal. And then we go, well, hang on, it's probably just going to be the next normal. So prepare for this vicious cycle of normal disruption, the next normal disruption, the next normal disruption. This is what's going to be happening in the world going forward. Is your business prepared for it? Are you as a leader prepared for it? So we all know that sticking our head in the sand is not the answer. And we're going to go through that when I do some whiteboarding session about what your options are moving forward. And I assure you that sticking your head in the sand is not one of those options, and hoping this too shall pass. If you're doing that, you're putting yourself in a bad position, hence the picture. Why? Because we are in our generation's most uncertain of times. Please understand this. Predictability is out the window. We used to have 10 years of this, 10 years of that, and 10 years of that, and it was fairly predictable in terms of the cycles. However, this should be the most exciting of times for us in business, because there's no opportunity or limited opportunity in predictability, but there is tremendous opportunity in uncertainty. Why? Because nobody has a clue how it's supposed to be done anymore. So that means we can do it any way we want. Right? And this is where the world is rife for disruption right now in every area and every business. I assure you, every business on the planet today is under threat. Every business is ripe for disruption, even the ones who have been the biggest disruptors. And we'll talk about those in just a moment. So in the end, please understand that change is inevitable. Is your business prepared for change? Is it prepared? Are you keeping up with the rate of change that's happening right now? And if not, do you think the rate of change is going to slow down or speed up? Because most people tell you it's going to speed up. There's predictions, and once again, please take it for what it's worth, that everything we've experienced, all the changes we experienced in the last, say, 100 years, we're going to get those in the next 10 years. So everything that happened in the last 100 years, that amount of change, we're going to experience now in the next 10 years. So when you think about that, is your business keeping up with the rate of change at the moment? And if not, how are you going to keep up with change if it's going to be happening at 10 times the speed? So you have two choices when it comes to change. And I'd like you to understand this point here, that the difference between affect and effect. So you can either affect change or be affected by change. And this is really important to understand in terms of the definition of both these words. And the simplest way to describe that concept is this. You can either affect change or be at the effect of change. So you have to choose now in today's world, do you want to sit there and have it happen to you, or do you want to make it happen for your business? And we have a choice. So this is a really important one. Now, and to say that you're going to be at the mercy of the effective change, it doesn't mean your business will go out, but it means you better be ready to scramble and move fast if things are changing and someone else is making the change in your industry that you have to adapt to. Or you can choose to be the ones who lead that in your industry. So you look at these game changers that were out in the world today. Google existed well before Facebook, and why didn't it create Google? Why didn't it create Facebook? So Google Plus came out as a chaser, but didn't succeed. Now, if you look at eHarmony, transformed the online dating platforms back in the days, back in the early 2000s, and created eHarmony as an online dating platform that took out all the other ones. But did eHarmony create Tinder? Did it create Bumble? No, it didn't. iTunes, the first streaming service, but it didn't create Netflix. And if you look at Netflix today, Netflix has been streaming a whole bunch of stuff. It's actually producing more movies these days than Hollywood almost. So how did iTunes allow Netflix to get into streaming when iTunes was dominating the streaming? It was the first in the streaming market. How then, not only allowing Netflix to get in play here, how did iTunes allow Spotify to come along? And more people listen to music on Spotify than they do on iTunes, yet iTunes and Apple were the big disruptors and innovators in that space. We all know that Amazon is the largest shopping center in the world now. eBay is the largest auction house in the world, although it used to be, gosh, can't even remember now. See how bad it is? Can't even remember. Uber, Airbnb, we know all about those, Kodak. But you look at some of these organizations here. These organizations were the biggest disruptors in their time, but they've since been disrupted. So just because you've gone through disruption or you've led disruption doesn't mean that you won't be disrupted yourself. And it's really important to understand that these game changers, their games have been changed on them since. So the question I have for you then is, when was the last time that you sat down and thought about how to put yourself out of business? Because I assure you that your competitors are thinking about it right now. And by the way, your competitors may not be the people that you're thinking that they are. I have this concept that I believe in, which is what I call the two dudes theory. And if you look at the people who started Uber, Travis and his buddy who started Uber, were they in the transportation business, the personal transportation business? No. But they disrupted the whole industry. Were the two guys who started Airbnb in the accommodation industry? No. But they disrupted that industry. Were the two guys, Mark and Reed, who started Netflix in the entertainment industry? No, but they disrupted that industry. Most of them were pissed off consumers. So when you think about this from a business context, your biggest competitors may not be the people that you think it is. It may just be pissed off consumers who are tired of their needs not being met. And so they go and create something themselves, because it's a lot easier to get into business today than it has ever been. So are you waiting for somebody else to come along and disrupt your industry for you, or are you going to lead it yourself? Are you going to wait for your customers to get so frustrated that they decide to find something or create something that fills the gap in the market that you've not been listening to them about or asking them about to find out what it might be, so that you can actually be the one to provide it? So it's really important to understand that these people who have put people out of business, it's not necessarily the competitors who did it. It was somebody from totally outside the industry. This is the world that we live in today. We need to be prepared for this. So hopefully we're embracing this as a concept now. We want to put yourself out of business. All right. Now let's talk about this as a concept. We're not talking about actually putting yourself totally out of business. What we're talking about here is actually putting your old way of doing business out of business. So when we talk about put yourself out of business, it's about reimagining or imagining an organization that does not yet exist, that you would need to build, that would put your old way of doing business out of business, and then start to build that organization. Because when you do it, it's just you putting your old way of doing business out of business. When someone else comes along and does it for you, you're usually out of business or have lost a significant market share. So are you waiting for somebody else to come along and do that for you? Or is that something that you want to do yourself? Because in the end, afterwards, everyone wishes they had hindsight when they should have used insight in the beginning. At Circle Leadership, insight is one of our core values. And that is to anticipate and act in advance is our definition of that. And this is so important. How many times you sit there, hindsight's 2020, but there may have been a lot of insight that you could have gathered or that you've just ignored that you could have used to help you to prepare for whatever was coming and put yourself in the right position. As a Canadian, we all grew up on the folklore of Wayne Gretzky and his dad's wise words of, Wayne, skate to where the puck is going, not to where it is. You see when kids sports, when everyone chases the ball or the puck around or whatever they're chasing, instead of going to where they think it's going to go. And why Wayne Gretzky was the greatest hockey player in terms of goal scorer in history is because he always went to where he thought the puck would be. And most times that it was actually there, and that put him in a position to score. Okay, so are you going to sit there go in hindsight, go, oh, we should have thought about that? Or are you going to start to use insight today and start to move forward and leverage that insight that you can gain from right now? Because here's how you gather your insight. The magic doesn't happen, though, when you find the right answers. The magic happens when you find the right questions to ask. So if you want to put yourself out of business before somebody else does, you need to start asking the right questions that are going to lead to those answers. So let's take a look at what some of those questions might be that you could start asking yourself about your business. Firstly, please understand that they must be epic questions. Now, what does epic mean? So epic usually is large, massive, big. When was the last time you asked yourself a large, massive, big question about your business? So let's look at some large, massive, big questions that you should be asking yourself about your business right now. This one here is, firstly, most people, when they build their business and their strategy and everything moving forward, they're looking at money as the common denominator. How do we make X amount of money? Please let me assure you that when money is your end game, you'll end up playing any game. And when that's the case, you'll become nothing to somebody. When you try to be everything to everybody and try to sell everything to everyone, you end up becoming nothing to somebody. Who do you want to be of value to in this world? Do not build your business based on how much money you want to make. Build your business based on the one that's going to evolve you and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that you choose to serve. So this is actually really depicting about how do we provide value. So one of the most epic questions you can ask yourself right now in your business today is, how can we give our clients more value, not charge them anymore, but make more on the bottom line of our business? So say what? You want me to give more value to our clients, but not charge them more, and then find a way to make more money on the bottom line? Yes. That means you want to burn the candle at both ends, technically. What we want to do is, this is a value strategy. Or if you want to look at building a value-based strategy, how do we give value to our clients, give value to the business, give value to our team, where we can actually do that? So it's an epic question. Do I have the answer for you? No. The whole point is, when you start asking epic questions, it leads to epic thinking, which will lead to epic results. This is one of the first questions you can ask yourself. How do we give more, not charge more, and make more? And then sit down with your team and start to brainstorm that. What would more value look like? Because giving your clients more value may not cost you anything to do it, but to your clients, it may be amazing. Right? One of the things that we did, I used to be a bank manager back in my days. Please don't hold that against me. One of the things that we did to appeal to our business customers, to add more value to them, is we had Swap Shirt Fridays. Every Friday, we got all these shirts from our clients, all their business shirts, polos, whatever it was, with their logos on it. And all our team, every single person in the team, all 14 of us, would wear a different client's shirt on a Friday. We wouldn't wear our bank shirt, we would wear our client's shirt. So when people came in, all those clients' businesses were being promoted. So if you imagine we have 800 to 1,000 people come through the bank or the branch that day, they would be seeing that. It didn't cost us anything to do that. Actually, the clients gave us their shirts. We told them the sizes. They gave us a whole bunch of shirts, and we rotated the shirts on a regular basis. The clients loved it. We put a TV screen up on the wall, and we did 30-second ads of all our small business customers, promoting them. So when people are standing in the queue, they had the TV to watch, and then we were promoting all our business clients. Do you know how much new business we wrote for small business clients? Why? Because we found a way to add value to them. And it didn't cost us anything. There's ways to do it. So one of the things that you need to work on right now is you need to start to anticipate. Okay, and anticipation means the ability to foresee growing problems, disruptions, customers' needs, and new opportunities. Get your anticipation muscle working. One of the things that we challenge people on is to think about your customers' customers. What's happening in your customers' world? Because if you know what's going to be happening to your customers, especially those of you in the business to business world, if you know what's happening in your customers' world, well, you can see how that might affect your customers. And then how can you be prepared to help that person? These are some of the thoughts you need to have when you want to think about anticipating the future needs, right? And foreseeing problems and disruptions. Look at other industries. How are they being disrupted? Is there something that you can learn from that you can bring to your industry? Is there something happening amazing in another industry or service that would wow your clients? Can you bring that into your business? Because one thing I am very certain of, and that is, if you do not start anticipating the future needs of your clients, the one thing you can anticipate is not having future clients. So anticipating is a muscle you must build into your organization. Run anticipation sessions where you get people to anticipate the future. Like once a month, just get people to go and bring some crazy idea to the table and brainstorm it. Like spend 15 minutes on it and open it up. get people anticipating the future needs. Find out, pick one client and go, who are their clients, and start anticipating the future needs of their clients and work out what can we do for that client that would help them with that. This will then hopefully lead to innovative thinking. Now, innovation is always it's an important thing. It's been around forever and a day. The need to innovate now is far greater than it's ever been. And this is really critical. But let's take a look at the word innovate itself first and foremost. So when I talk to business owners and leaders, what we find is that they're always looking for the latest and greatest innovation to bring into their business, which, okay, I get that. But usually with that, there comes a cost. You're buying something in to do that. If you look at the word innovate itself, in is a prefix for within, and novate is to change or do something different. If you ever had a novated lease, which is where you get a new car every 1 year or 2 years, you just keep changing things, right? So the word itself says to change or do something different from within. So when we get our teams to start anticipating and acting in advance or thinking in advance and having those anticipation sessions, that should then lead us to where we can start to innovate, to challenge our thinking about the way that we do things. So we can start tinkering with our organization and start to find ways to innovate. Now, once again, I challenge you to do value innovation. Innovation for innovation's sake is fun for creativity, but is it adding value? Okay. So innovation could be getting rid of things, because as my good friend Aidan Parker always says, we add value by removing things that don't. So when we're looking at innovation, is this something where we can actually innovate by stripping out some of the stuff that we do that doesn't add value, that streamlines the process, thus creates more value for our client? Do we need to change processes, products, services? We need to be looking at all these things that we can be tinkering with. So we go from anticipation then to looking at how can we innovate on that. And then one of the other things I would challenge you to do is also to take a global view. When you're thinking about how to put yourself out of business, take a global view. What's happening around the world? We are in a global economy. The world has become a much smaller place. Here I am running this, and I am sharing this with people all around the world. This was possible, but very expensive. If you go back, I think I did an exercise, it would have been 10 years ago. And I looked at all the stuff that I had 10 years ago, online platforms, things like that, everything we're using today. And then I thought about 5 years before that, so about 15 years ago, everything that I have here today would have probably cost me close to $900,000. And here I am for the cost of an internet and a streaming subscription, for $900, a couple of monitors and a few things in my studio here, let's say $9,000 by the time the whole studio that we have set up here, I'm able to do what would have cost us $900,000 to stream this type of content around the world. Right? When I talk about things are moving fast and things are changing and you need to anticipate and innovate, because things are getting cheaper and easier to get into business, and you can reach more of the world, we'll start having a global view, please. It is critical for your business. We have a lot of people who, small businesses that are saying, we need to shop local. They're challenging their local community to spend money with them locally. I totally get that. And I'm all for, thinking, or shopping local, but think global, please. Think global, because you might have clients. If you live in a town with 40,000 people and your client base in that town might be, 1,000 of those people who'd be regular buyers in your business, there's 7 billion people on the planet. Maybe by going online on a Facebook or a marketplace or setting up a website or an e-commerce site, whatever it might be, a Shopify, whatever you want to do, you can list, or eBay, you can list your products online if you haven't already. And there may be some people in other parts of the world who love what it is that you have to offer. Now, I appreciate that won't work for every business, but it doesn't work for yours, right? There's a global market out there. Think global. Yeah, shop local, but think global, please. So then you have to be, now you've done the anticipation, you've innovated, you start thinking global, you're thinking about what are the things that could disrupt our organization. There's some clear lessons that we need to learn from disruption. Make this a little bigger so it's easier for you guys to see. All right, so please understand, being aware of the potential for disruption isn't enough. All right, Blockbuster knew about Netflix. All right, they were aware of it. but they didn't catch the early warning signs. They were still caught up in their own belief about their business. And beliefs, please remember that your beliefs are there to serve you. I understand that. And they served you at a certain time. Something happened, and then you formed this belief because it served you. What we rarely ask, though, is that belief still serving me today, and will it serve me tomorrow? So when Blockbuster believed that people love the serendipitous moment of coming into a Blockbuster store and bumping into their neighbors and looking at movies as a family and grabbing popcorn on the way out, when really what most people really wanted to do was just Netflix and chill. But they held on to that belief that that's what people wanted. So being aware of that, and although they were aware that people were starting to buy things online, being aware of the potential disruption is enough. Planning to ride the wave also isn't enough. You need to respond with reimagining and bold risk-taking. You can't just sit there and ride the wave and let's just see how this thing pans out. You need to be able to respond to it, right? Otherwise, you end up reacting to it, and a reaction is not a good thing. Actually, a lot of our clients said the beauty about being in our evolution process, our Next 90 Business evolution process, when the pandemic hit, is that they had time to think. They had time, which is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is just a knee-jerk reaction, of course, and responding is, okay, this has happened, let's think about it, and then what we're going to do. The first thing they had to do is make sure the people were safe, but from a business strategy point of view, they were able to respond to it. They didn't need to react to it because they were already in an evolution process. Now, could we have predicted that that's what the disruption would have been for their industry? No. But they were preparing for disruption. They were preparing to reimagine and take bold risks about the organization that they wanted to become in the future. So they were able to respond to what was happening. So the next step then after that is you must lead the disruption in your industry. Okay? Challenge what is possible in your business industry. Whatever business industry you're in and your market, challenge what is possible. Look for the gaps. Lead the disruption. Affect the disruption. And if you want to do that, the best way to lead it is to start disrupting your own business. Okay? If you want to lead the disruption in your industry, start by disrupting your own business first. Okay, and this is why I'm talking about putting yourself out of business before somebody else does it, because you need to lead the disruption. And you should have already started. And if you haven't, please start now. There's an old expression I was told many years ago that was Dave, and this was said to me by a MD of a large organization. And I asked him, why are we always number 2 in the marketplace? And he said, Dave, trailblazers end up with arrows in their backs. Now, this is back in 1991, 92, maybe. My smart ass nature as a young kid back then, would have been about 26, was, yeah, but you get the trail named after you. And why are we not being trailblazers? So when you think about now, everybody wants to be the next Uber. Everybody wants to be the next Airbnb. Everybody wants to be the next whatever it is, because they were trailblazers, right? Now, if you look at the battles that Uber went through with the taxi industry and the legal and everything, like all those battles, they were getting arrows in their backs about this. They were trying to blaze this new trail, rideshare technology, moving forward. And that totally interrupted the thinking of another organization, which is a disruption. And the taxi industry, who thought they were protected by government, which they are under on the way that business model ran, but this business model doesn't run that way. But they were getting a lot of flack for it. There was a lot of fights, even physical fights that were happening in parts of the world. So trailblazers end up with arrows in their backs, but they get the trail named after them. Now everybody wants to be the next Uber. Are you waiting to be a copycat of something else that somebody's done in your industry, or are you going to lead that disruption? And if you do, please understand that you're going to upset some people. The whole point of this clarism is actually the fact that you're going to upset some people. But don't be afraid of that, because then in a year or two's time, people are going to go, they're all going to want to be you. Or are you going to be sitting there going, I want to be them? Which choice would you rather have? People going, I wish I was them, or I wish I could be you. It's your choice. So Darwin theories say that it's the species that survives is not the one that's it's not the fastest, the smartest, the most intelligent. It's the one that is best able to adapt to, and I've changed it here, to its ever-changing environment in which it finds itself, right? You might be the smartest, the most intelligent, the fastest, the most capable right now, but the ones that will survive are the ones that are best able to adapt and adjust to their ever-changing environment. Okay, so are you ready for the ever-changing environment? If you go back to that beginning when I was talking about, is there's what was normal, then there's a disruption, then there's the next normal, then there'll be another disruption, then the next normal, and so on. That is the ever-changing environment. Is your organization set up to adapt with that? When you make evolution the natural state of your business and you have the steady progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness, you will be able to. So what you need to have in place then is you need a new mission, right? How do you put yourself in a business? You need a new mission. And please understand, when we're talking about mission, we're not talking about the statement that sits up on the wall for 25 years and go, we are a strong results-driven bank dedicated to the people of West Australia with a deep commitment to deliver superior value through skilled staff working as a team. That was a mission statement of the bank that I was a part of back in 1990. When we're talking about mission today, that may have served us at that time, but once again, as a belief. But mission today should be a much shorter window. And mission should all be about, who does our organization need to become to start creating the world that we see? When you imagine, 10 years or 20 years from now, what's the world that you want to see? What's the impact you want your business to have on the world? And you go, okay, wow, there's this amazing world out here. And we go, and here's where we are today, and here's this amazing world that's out there. Well, then who do we need to become to start creating that world? What's the next evolution of our business? You see, in mission, as in military terms, is you get sent out on a mission, then you complete that mission, then you rest and recover, then you get sent on another mission, and you rest and recover and get sent out on another mission. So we work on 3-year missions, right? So we're working with our clients. It's about, who does your organization need to become in the next 3 years to evolve and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that you choose to serve, and that will start to create that world that you see, that vision that you have for the impact that you want your business to have on this world. So when you're thinking about that, this is the business that you have to imagine that would put you out of business. So what is the business that we would need to build, if we look at the sense of our mission here, that we would need to build that would put our existing business out of business? And then we start to build that business. And then what you do every single day is you start acting in accordance with that truth. If we were already this business that we've identified, over here, this one here, we've identified as the business we must become, if we were already that, what would we be doing then that we're not doing now? And what of that could we start doing now? Right? So remember these questions. Who do we need to become then to evolve and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of people we choose to serve? That business that you need to become is the one that will put your current business out of business. So that's the new model that makes the old model obsolete. So this new model here, and then what we do is we start to act in accordance with the new model. And the way we do that is by asking that simple question. Right? What would we be doing then that we're not doing now? And you may not be able to do all of that, but you go, what of that could we start doing now? Because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to start acting as if that's already happening. You're going to bring it into reality. You don't go out to become that organization. You bring that organization into reality every day by asking those questions. If we were this, what would we be doing then that we're not doing now? What of that could we start doing now? And let's start doing that, because then we start bringing it into reality, and that's how we become that organization. So if you look at your business today, wherever you are today, and you went back 3 years ago and said, okay, is our business today the same as it was 3 years ago? And you go, probably not. And you go, our business today, will it be the same in 3 years' time from now? And the answer should be probably not, right? Because business is a series of evolutions. So what we want to work on, the business that's going to put you out of business, is what's the next evolution of your business? All right, so that's why and how. Now I'm going to jump over to the whiteboard. So let's just stop that. And we're going to look at basically how to reimagine your strategy in order to build this business that you're looking for. So let's challenge technology, and hopefully it will allow us to play on the whiteboard today. Hey, here we go. Let's move me down here. All right. So when you think about your organization, we want to talk about reimagining your strategy. So if you imagine, so the strategy, we're looking at, just change the color here. If you keep your old strategy, or a new strategy, and the same thing, old thinking and new thinking. Because one of the things I want to challenge you about is, not only do you need to, when you think about wanting to put yourself out of business, it's not good enough just to reimagine your strategy. You have to reimagine how you think about strategy. Okay, so the first quadrant here, if you keep the old strategy and the old thinking, this is what we call fade away. Your business will fade away into obscurity. Okay, are you prepared to have your business fade away into obscurity? Now, that might not be a bad strategy for some people. It's like, you know what, I'm at the end of my career, my business. I've done everything I wanted to do. I'm happy for it just to peter out over the next 3 to 5 years. That's fine. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It depends on if that's where you see your future. That's okay. Then just keep doing what you're always doing, and keep thinking about the way you've always thought about it. To some people, if that's not your end game, though, you're putting your head in the sand, as we talked about earlier. Okay? But if it is your game plan just to fade out, that's cool. Very important to understand what is your long-term goals for your business, for your thing, what's your vision, things like that. If you want to sell the business, not a great strategy. If you're happy for it just to peter out because it's the end of your time and you're happy to sit back and relax and enjoy all the work, the fruits of your labor all these years, just keep doing what you've always done, because it's inevitable that you will fade away into obscurity or grow into irrelevance. Now, you can keep your old strategy, but then start thinking about new ways to do things. And then at least in this stage here, you're surviving. I didn't think that looked right. There's a little lag in the writing, so there we go. You're surviving. So keeping your old strategy, that's great, but we're thinking differently. And this is where, when we really talk about, this is where the innovation kicks in, all right? So if you imagine in your business, we're actually looking at innovation. Oops. Yeah. Okay, we're tinkering. Reacting, tinkering to keep up, sometimes disguised as innovation or actually designed as innovation. And we're improving how we do things inside our business, which is great. So that'll help you. Then there's also, when you think about, what if you kept your old thinking, though, and if we kept our old thinking here and we just found a new way to do it, well, you're going to grow your business, which is good. You want to grow your business. There's a lot of people talking about business growth, and it's important. Like I said, we want to increase your capacity for greatness. We want you to help to be able to grow your business as well on the back of evolution, though. And we'll talk about that in a second. So this growing your business is basically, we're going to keep doing what we've always done, but we're going to find a new way to do it. We're going to find new ways to double down on our existing revenue drivers and deliver more of what we already do to more people. So growth is about being more for more. How do we do more for more? So, which isn't a bad thing, right? But once again, you're still at risk of becoming irrelevant because you haven't shifted your thinking. So surviving, keeping the same strategy and tinkering and coming up with new thinking around it is innovative, which is cool. You can go the other way and go, well, let's keep the old thinking. Let's keep doing what we've always done, but find new ways to do it. Let's find new ways to double down on our existing revenue drivers, do more of what we already do for more people. Great, that's awesome. That's where a lot of people are. So a lot of people are really playing in this space in the world right now, okay? Everyone's trying to grow their business. Well, we've been challenging organizations for the past, 5 years or so, is the need to evolve and stay relevant. You can evolve all you like, but it has to be attached to relevance. Okay, so when you're actually come up with a new strategy and a new way of thinking about your business, this is where you lead to disruption. It's taking the new thinking and the new strategy, not just one or the other. So each of those other ones were one or the other. If you take new thinking and new strategy and you put it together, this is how you'll help your organization to evolve and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that you choose to serve. And this is where we challenge you all to start moving into this space here. Fundamentally challenge what is possible on how you serve your customers to reshape your offerings, focusing on why you do what you do. It all comes back to your purpose, right? Why do you do what you do? What is the problem you're passionate about solving in this world for the people that you choose to solve it for? Because your purpose defines you, but it doesn't confine you. So when you look at your organization and you want to evolve and stay relevant, you need to have a new way of thinking about your business, or a new way of thinking about your business, and a new strategy as well. So you need not only reimagine your strategy, but reimagine how you think about strategy. And this is when you start to make evolution the natural state of your business, and you have the steady progressive increase of your capabilities. This is how you increase your capacity for greatness. And this is why it's important to look at both these things, right? Not just a new strategy and double down, or keep the old strategy and just think about it differently in terms of the way we do our business, but keep the same strategy for our business and just innovate and tinker. You need to do both. And when you do both, you make evolution the natural state of your business. And when you do that, that's how you'll put your old way of doing business out of business. So the last thing I want to leave you with is this. Put this up here. This one might hurt a little for some people. Are you waiting for new business to rub your nose in a future you are destined to own? This is my question to you. If you're not thinking about putting yourself out of business, which is putting your old way of doing business out of business, if you haven't started thinking about that, please do now. But if you don't, please do not complain in 2 or 3 years' time when somebody else comes along and starts the business that you'd always thought about for yourself, for your business as it is today. Or that person built something that puts you out of business or significantly takes your market share when you are perfectly positioned to be the one to do it yourself. If you're not willing to be a trailblazer, if you're not willing to be a disruptor, if you're not willing to affect change in your industry and or your business, please do not complain when somebody else does, because you are in the perfect position to be the ones to do it and you chose not to. You had the opportunity to put yourself out of business and put your old way of doing business out, but you chose to be at the mercy or the effect of change instead of affecting it, and allowed somebody else to do it. Now you have to react to it. Okay, so I know it can be a hard pill for some people, but it's critical that we understand that this is the harsh reality of business right now. And we have amazing people in our organizations. We have wonderful human beings who you are not even tapping into their creativity and their imagination and their intuition, all right, and their insights and everything that they have and their curiosity that could help you to do that. You don't have to have all the answers as the business owner or leader yourself. But I assure you that everyone in your organization, if you allow them to get involved in, people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work, if you start to delegate outcomes and not tasks, if you become a coach, not a boss, all the things we talk about at Circle Leadership, you will create an organization where ideas flourish. And this way then that the best idea can win, not the boss's idea. Right? And this is how you will be able to put yourself out of business before somebody else does it for you. So thank you for joining in on today's session, how to put yourself out of business before someone else does it for you. If you watch this afterwards, please feel free to drop some questions, comments into below. If you want to join in on the rest of the series, I'll just put the link in here in the comments. There's the link if you want to join in on any of the remaining sessions in that circle of success. As I said, we've got everything you wanted to know about OKRs coming up next, but we're afraid to ask in 2 weeks' time. Then after that, we have got how to get everyone to fall in love with your business. And then last but not least, how to stop the glorification of busy. Hopefully this has been of value to you. Thank you so much for joining us and participating in the workshops so far. look forward to seeing you all in the upcoming one in 2 weeks' time. Other than that, please find a way to put yourself out of business. If you have any interest in looking at what that looks like for you, put another link in here that you're more than welcome to jump on to. I run free whiteboard sessions. So I'll show you that here. So there you go, free whiteboard session with me where we'll brainstorm through your ideas of your business. I'll put the link in here if you want to book in a whiteboard session with myself. You can organize that, and we'll just sit there and we'll do a free, no obligation, no anything like that, whiteboard session about your business and what putting yourself out of business might look like, and see if we can bounce some ideas around and help you with that. So thanks very much for tuning in. Until 2 weeks' time, this has been Dave Clare from the Circle Leadership Headquarters Studio. Really excited about finding ways to help people put themselves out of business before someone else does it for them.